All right, in the first video of the BRX01, I actually unboxed everything so you could have a look at it. And step one in the instruction book is to start assembling the frame. So I'm going to go ahead, unbox everything here, lay the parts out that I need, and get organized. Okay, in unpacking, I have to take a moment just to appreciate what I'm looking at. These are the frame rails, the chassis rails. Look at the contour on them. So nice. Really lightweight and thick aluminum. And then all of the multiple adjustment points, like hopefully my camera is picking up the finish on this. Okay, so really low down, like a low profile focus camera. I'm doing all my focusing on my own here, so sorry about the delay there. Look at the quality bags. These are nothing like I've ever seen. These are actually like frosted plastic Ziploc bags for all the parts. It's like I've gone to the spa and I'm putting together an RC, right? I'm expecting some makeup brushes to come in here, like nice and soft. And in here, all the aluminum cross braces, I believe, like the cross braces for the chassis frame. Or for the chassis frame, the chassis frame rails. Same thing. Let's get into this for a bit. You can experience it with me. Same type of finish. Focus in on it for you here. Look at that. What's shocking me about all of these pieces is how light everything is. It's like, I almost want to say it's like lighter than feeling the plastic pieces because it's that comparable. But the strength is all aluminum. Okay, so all the rod ends and plastic eyes are here. Here come the major hardware parts, which really there aren't that many, it looks like. Clearly labeled too. Look at number 3, links and shocks, servos, fine tuning spacers, so shims. This is for the chassis and the receiver box. This is awesome. Body mounts, this should be pretty straightforward. And let's have a good look at the parts here laid out. These are the shock hangers. Look at that. All these are actually pre-threaded as well. All these holes in here pre-threaded, so you can put the shock anywhere you like. Amazing. I'm assuming this is the servo hanger. And then, of course, the plate, I'm going to say probably for a transfer case. Could be wrong on that one, but that's what it looks like. Now, I'd like to say this kit does come with its own little set of tools. These are not included. These are off to the side. And the tools are here. I wanted to point out, though, not the Allen keys, but the fact that it does come with a grub screw. So if you're unpacking these tools, be careful because it is in there. One of the things not included, of course, is a blue thread lock. This is something I'd always suggest, and the book suggests as well. If you're ever doing an RC where you've got metal on metal or a screw going into a metal hole, you want to make sure to add just a little bit of Loctite. And for today's lesson, even though I've showed this before, there are some new viewers here. I'd like to pour some of this Loctite into a top of a water cap. Why would I do that? Well, this is so I can take my screwdriver and just dip it in the end. That way I don't get too much and I can put it into the frame rail no problem without any mess. Okay, so another tip I want to let you guys know, I've been teaching this for a long time on my build videos, is if you're intimidated by what you see on the page of the instruction book, which can happen, it's very normal, you are not alone, what I like to do is to take my pieces and to actually replicate what I see in the book onto the table with my parts, right? And this way I get a general idea. If something doesn't make sense on the book, then I can usually figure it out when I lay it out flat. And the way I lay it out flat is exactly how I would be hanging them. So notice these shock hangers have the 2 feet pushed together. This is because when I'm actually putting it together, it's going to be going like this, and I'll just be lifting it all up onto the rack itself. So what you normally do to one side, you do to the other, and so the symmetry is pretty important, and that'll help lead you through. But I like to leave all of these Loctite screws maybe undone about 1/8 of a turn until I have everything flush, and then I can cinch it up. Now, if you're a savvy hobbyist and you'd like to get your project done quickly and easily, use a magnetic tray for all of your screws. Or if you're a little bit of a masochist like me, simply dump them out on a flat surface, no assistance necessary, and let the games begin. So, first thing I need to do is do the shock hanger, which is really interesting because this is cut so well that it almost snaps into place. But a little bit of blue Loctite in every single screw, just like we mentioned, is going to go a long way. And a few minutes later, my screw pile looks like this. But 1/2 of my frame rail is completed. Now again, this is a simple process. What you do to one side, you must do to another. And that's going to mean as simple as just hanging the parts on that are required that are left. The servo hanger, the shock hanger, the transmission hanger, and of course the back piece that goes on the final crossbeam for the chassis rail. So I'll get that done. As a side note, I'm really enjoying the fact that this isn't like a C-channel ladder frame. In fact, it's just solid, right? So I get a lot of feeling like we're going to have a lot of rigidity in the truck frame, which is something I really like. I don't have to worry about it twisting easily, under torque at least. It's a nice fitting on the inside there. Wow. You could hear it snap into place. So front cross member, the stock steering servo mount default setup. So this is showing the screws in which way it should go. All the way back to the middle cross member here. And then down to the body mount hinge, which goes on the rear cross member. Which is right here. Next is the transmission. So 2-speed gearbox and the transfer case with the connection shaft are going to be dropped into the chassis. And if you haven't seen the transmission yet, here is the little beauty itself. Very nice looking. There are the mounting holes on the side. And of course the output shaft right there. There is the shifter. And it gets mounted to the frame just like that. 2 screws on either side if you're building along with me. What a little beauty for a 2-stage transmission, very small. Notice that right on the bottom where the arm is, you kind of have to line that up in there. But if you do that, you're good to go. The transfer case. There are the mounting holes on the bottom. This thing is going to see quite a few scale miles on it, I think. In bag 9, I can see the accessory that I need is the connection shaft. Look at this. Countersunk holes into this skid plate where you don't have to worry about rubbing any button head screws over the rocks and getting caught up. Nice touch, Boom Racing. There is what this beauty looks like all mounted in place. That connecting shaft looking beefy. It is all one piece. With 2 long grub screws that go straight through the shaft, which is making it very secure. And just in case, I'm going to put this in the video too, you're building along with me, there is a small rubber O-ring that went in between the drive shaft, the output drive of the transmission, and this solid drive here. So the O-ring goes in between, you can kind of see it in there. So flipping this frame upside down, you'll see that this crossbeam right behind the high clearance plate has 2 holes in it for this little bracket. This is actually so it can hold a mini servo, I'm assuming for shifting. So 2 screws in here, and I'm going to secure that, making sure to use enough Loctite. Alright, next are the suspension links. Great to see the book being a source of information that's usable. Remember, when they are telling you that there are different sizes of links, make sure to get your links out and lay them side by side. You may even go over and check that out. Imagine that. Because some are going to be very close in size, like this one, and at first glance, it might not look like this one was shorter. So to save yourself a little bit of headache, make sure to go and match them up with the book. Now, this is where I'm going to be using using these rod ends right here. These are and I quote, badass straight nylon rod ends. This is the actual brand of them. I noticed they've been trademarked. So we're going to be installing those on the end, and all I have to do is understand the picture that they're showing me. But generally, I notice that it is a bent end on the front upper link and straight on the lower links. So just be careful. This is what we're noticing right here. This is where it's bending and giving us an angle, and the rest of them are straight. So I'm going to assemble those. All right, so rod end production. Eyelets can be a little bit of a pain for some people. Let's try to get a good focus here for you guys. So there it is. So try to see if the rod end actually has the eyelet itself has a larger hole. So it looks like this side might be the area to push it into. The other side looks finished. Take the tapered end, pop that in the end, and then a nice pair of needle nose, nothing too wimpy. Try to squeeze on the edge of the actual eye itself and just rock back and forth like that. See? Piece of cake. So let's show you one more time. Try to find the side that's unfinished, a little bit larger possibly. Taper it end in and squeeze and push. That's how you do it. M4 by 16 size set screws are no small screw at all. You can see, in fact, it's almost the same diameter as my screwdriver. A lot of people attempt doing these eyelets, and they hold it and they try to get it threaded in the bottom, and they push. Sometimes you can slip and stab your finger, take the tip of your finger off. Man, I've done that back in the day. Or you can get these really sharp ones. Now this isn't sharp on here, but if you're trying to turn and twist, it can be very, very painful. So one of the things I like to do is simply just stick another screwdriver through there. That way it gives it some resistance. I can focus on getting a nice straight start on putting the set screw into place. And as you can see, when I slide it on, no problem, I can put it right in. Now, if you were to thread it into the actual link itself first, you'd be like, hey, this is a great idea, I'm totally going to do this. All right, and then you try to go put it on and you're threading it. A lot of times you'll get all the way to the bottom and you'll realize you threaded the set screw all the way in and you have no way to get it out, especially if you did it backwards and you don't have the hex adapter hole on the outside. So there's a little tip for you. Hopefully it helps. I could certainly be using a drill for these rod ends, but at the same time, by hand turning them, it gives me more control on how straight that set screw goes into the rod end. And it's a good workout for the arm. a little pain, it can be a little pleasure. I think that's why I'm even in the hobby to begin with. 14 more to go. I like the fact that they actually have a measuring tape right on the page for you to know how long the links are supposed to be. Up here it says it's 131.78 millimeters hole to hole. Come on, family friendly. So if you're like me and your fingers are getting old, or heck, you just don't have the strength in your hands yet, and you want to align these two eyelet holes on the rod ends, there is a small trick which you guys may not know. Just take one of your drivers, stick it in the end of one rod end, and then a driver on the other side. And this is how you could tighten it up and lose the gap as well in between the two pieces, but gently move it. These nylon rod ends from Boom Racing are very strong, but other ones you'll have to be careful with. You don't want to over tighten it and crack it, but there you go. That's how you line it up easy without hurting your fingers. Now you keep up the hard work, and before you know it, you'll have all the links that you need. So the two lower rear, the two rear upper, and then the front lower, and then the single front upper. Okay, so the chassis is now upside down. This is going to be a lot easier for me to get the links into place, especially the rear ones. What I'm going to do now is be able to count the holes on top of the frame rail, not just necessarily the many ones in the side, but there's very few up top here. And I can see right away that right in the middle, what is it, the second hole that I have to go into here? It is the second hole back. So I'm going to use the hardware provided in the bag, make sure the link is facing the right direction, and just slide that right through and attach a nut. I'm going to cinch it. The longer lower links are going to line up with that high clearance skid plate. I'm going to go ahead and attach some Loctite to the screw and then just cinch that into place. Once those sides are in, then I can do the other side. What you do to one side, you do to the other. It applies not only this way, but forward and back as well. So I only have to put in one more, which is going to be the single upper link for the front. So there you go, guys. We got a decent chunk of it done today. Everything is just stunning on this kit. It's almost like what I would call a premium kit so far. In fact, I'm going to have to stretch as far as to say I have not built anything that looks like this kind of quality before. I know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you got it for free. You're probably just having to say that. But really, if you guys have your hands on this, or maybe I can get some of the other BRX01 owners to comment down below or to smash that like button to let other people know that so far so good. I am really liking what I'm seeing. Guys, leave me a comment. I'll leave a link to this in the video description box down below. Subscribe for more. You know I'll be coming at you with those axles and shocks in the next episode. Until next time, my friends, go inside, build yourself an RC. Bye-bye.